Good afternoon, everybody. Lovely to have you all with us. We're going to start in just a moment. Just let the last few people join, and then we'll go from there. Fantastic. I can see everybody arriving, so that's great. We'll get started. So first and foremost, welcome to our webinar today. So today we're really excited to be talking about pop-ups that convert. So talking about our best practices for engaging your audience. Just a short snippet webinar, hopefully give you some insights and some best practice guidance just to be able to maximize those pop-ups that you're using to drive conversions, engagement, and overall revenue. Today it will be my colleague Ed and I hosting. I'm Christian, I'm an account director at the Spotler Group, and this is my colleague Ed who'll be leading the bit that you all want to see, the product demo, in just a few moments' time. Ed's one of our senior professional service consultants. So a very quick and punchy 15 minutes. It's going to be great. We'll talk a little bit, just very briefly, about the use case summary, and then we'll run through that product demo. So when we're looking at the use cases here, we've all seen pop-ups on websites, and depending on how you see them, how you perceive them, they can be a really integral part of somebody's web experience, about their journey on your website. So I'm going to talk about a few different pieces. See, the wonderful thing about a pop-up is that it's going to allow you to be able to target people whose email you don't have yet. So there's best practice tip number one. Don't have the pop-ups as an annoyance by asking for information that you already have. Get targeted with it. So only show anonymous visitors who you don't have an email for. One of the great things about the Activate suite versus many other CDPs is that it will it will ingest anonymized information but assign it to somebody's cookie, and then from there you're able to convert them into an email address, and that tracks over. So you're not starting just from that point. However, what we want to do is to move that conversation on. We understand this about you, and we'd love to connect with you in this way. When we see our customers use that kind of targeted email capture, we see fantastic results in terms of growth of base. I know if you've been to any of our webinars recently, we're talking about lots of our really exciting AI models and kind of that optimization of acquisition and making the most money, making the best choices for the money that you're spending. What we want is that email address. We want the right to conversation. So targeted email capture is number one. Are you showing the same pop-ups to everyone? Try and get a bit more targeted with it. It will be a brilliant customer experience change. Then the other part here is being able to split test pop-up incentives. We've all been on kind of digital journeys where you see get 15% off, get 20% off, get 25% off. But what if that isn't the incentive that somebody needs to sign up, and you're giving away money unnecessarily? What if there's actually a different angle for the conversation that actually involves sign up to hear exclusive news? Perhaps news is enough of a driver, or as the example is given here, join our VIP club, make it feeling like an exclusive piece rather than just going straight to 10%. 10% does obviously percentage off, gets great results, but are you making that from an informed place? So second part here is be testing. Don't just be relying on one default, but be testing what works for you. Always drive it back to how is your audience, how is your customer going to connect with this? Let's put some tests in place and go from a data-driven view. And then the last one, before I make way for the bit that you all want to see is how we're going to achieve some of these things, is for product alerts and journey. So when we talk about, we talk a lot about conversation. So what we want is that genuine reason to reach out when the time is right. Something is out of stock. At that point, when someone goes on the page, show them an email address pop-up sign-up box and say, hey, we'd love to stay in touch. We'd love to let you know when this is back in stock. Equally, straight from that, if you have product set up, you can get that email address, say, thank you for letting us know you're interested in this out of stock item. You could then have that connected, so when it is in stock, you send an email, but don't wait until that point. You've got another opportunity to say, those are out of stock. Have you thought about these? We want to be getting people back into the conversation as quickly as possible before they're moving on to go and talk about something else to someone else. I think that idea of the timely side of things is looking at your journeys, looking at how people engage with your site. So could it be stock changes? It's getting to low stock. You viewed this and it's gone to a low stock volume, or these new things are in. And also something on your wish list is on offer, or this is price drop. Again, this is all about enhancing that conversational aspect of your time with speaking to your clients. So when we go through them all, it's all about that targeted email capture. Send those pop-ups to the right people. Do test what works for your audience to get them to convert and to continue the conversation, and find timely ways to be adding value from the pop-up, looking at product alerts, price drops, new sales, etc., etc. So be driving that value. Ed, on that note, I'm going to hand over to you, if that's all right.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Christian. Let me just share my screen and we'll get going. Oh, perfect. So yeah, I'll be taking you through the popovers today, just show you a bit more about what Christian was speaking to, and then we'll go through the journeys as well and show you how you can sort of trigger that back in stock email if you wanted to set that up. So I'm in our demo account in the Activate platform. What I can do in here is I can go in and I can create a new personalization, which is basically the popover. Before I do that, I'd want to go into audiences and just create that audience of customers or visitors on the website where I don't know who they are yet. I can then use that to sort of target that particular popover to say only show to those visitors who we don't know the email address for. So you can create a new audience in there. You can then say I might want to say down here email address has no email. I can then create that audience, and that could be all of my visitors on the website that I don't know the email address for. That allows me then, as Christian mentioned, to only show that popover to those browsers who we don't know the email address for. If we already have their email address, there's no need for them to see that popover. They don't need to be reminded to share their email address because they've already done it. So you can create that audience in the platform, save that. When you then go to build that popover, you can just specify do not show to those who we already know the email address for, or only show to those who we don't know the email address for. So once you build that, go into personalizations. We can then create a new personalization. There are a few different templates that you can use here, but I'm going to be using one of the feedback forms today. That's just a normal sign up popover. So in here, I can open that up. I'll get my preview on the right hand side. I've got my editor on the left hand side. So I can very easily create my popover here. So it could be sign up to our newsletter, for example. So I can pop in my title, pop in my text there. I can add in an additional fields if I wanted to. So if I wanted to start capturing their first name, for example, I can very easily add in that field there, ask that question, that they get synced into the platform. I can specify what message they see when they fill out that form. For the display options, I can hide the image. I can upload a new image if I wanted to. So really easy to come in here and build that popover to capture that subscriber information. Once I'm happy with that, I can click on save. That'll then save that sign up popover. Down here, I've then got a few options. So the main one we were looking at was around asking those customers for their email address if we don't already know who they are. So I can come in here, and in the audience section, at the moment it's set to everyone. We have our own little pots of data which we group visitors into, but I can choose to untick those default ones, just go custom, and I can include an audience which could be email addresses not known, for example. So yeah, only shows those visitors who we don't know the email address for. So that's how I set up my very simple sign up popover to those customers who we don't know the email address for. The other piece that Christian touched on was around the split testing. So you can see here, I've got my different variants of this popover. So this first variant obviously could just be a standard, subscriber sign up, as Christian mentioned. Yeah, hear about our latest news, for example. I can create copies of that, and in those copies, I could tweak the offer. So as Christian mentioned, I could introduce 5%, 10%, 20%. So I can add in those additional variants there. Once I've got more than one variant, I can come down to the distribution down below. I can then modify how I want this sort of test to work. So I can do an equal split between different variants. I can do a custom percentage. So depending on how many variants I've got, I can then split those out equally, or I can automate that and let the system decide which one's performing better, which gets the most number of signups or the most purchases as a result of them seeing that pop over. So you can base it on the system, deciding which is most popular. It'll then show that one to more visitors on the website. So you can create just a single pop over, or you can introduce that testing functionality as well. One of the other pieces that Christian touched on was around the back in stock popover. So a bit like the summer popover, you can change the wording. Again, only show it to those customers who you don't have the email address for. You'd create one of these popovers here, pop in that feedback form to capture their email address. And then again, you would specify audience is only going to be shown to those customers who you don't know the email address for. You could then set that popover to only show on pages where the availability of the product is out of stock, so it'll only pop up on those pages. Once they've filled in that popover, we need to push them into a journey to hold them until that product hopefully becomes back in stock. If it doesn't, we can then sort of send them down different routes in that journey. So if I head into journeys, I can then create a new journey here, give it a name, so back in stock. Down below, I've got to add in my rules. So similar to the audience builder, I can add in my different rules down here. So the first one is going to be an event rule. So the event is going to be personalization click. So essentially, they have filled out that personalization, which happens to be the back in stock reminder popover. So once they fill that out, they get pulled into the journey. And the next rule is just to specify which personalization or which popover I'd like to target. So I can come down into personalizations clicked, and I can find that popover. So I would select my back in stock popover on the screen here. Click on save. That then pulls me into the journey. The first step I might want to introduce here is a simple product split. So in here, I can specify my wait time. So basically, how long do you want to hold them until they match the criteria below? So it might just be 30 days. So hold them for a month. And then in here, we're going to say availability equals in stock. So when the product they looked at last, it was out of stock. When that becomes in stock, we send them down the yes path. So that might be then an email is triggered, which says, hey, this product is now back in stock. Please click through here to view more. So as soon as that item is now back in stock, we can then trigger that email. Likewise, we can also filter those people who unfortunately the product didn't become back in stock after 30 days. And there might be where you want to recommend different products. So you can send out another email saying, unfortunately, we are still out of stock on that individual product, but here's some other products you might be interested in. Or at that point, you might push it to an external platform like Meta or Google Ads, for example. So there's lots of things you can do with that sort of no path. If if the product isn't in stock, you can still use that person in the journey and still push them down those different routes. But yeah, that's the simple back in stock journey there for you. So that was it really. So yeah, just a simple popover creation for a sign up or back in stock, and then showing you how you can use that back in stock data in the journey builder as well. But that was it for today's webinar. I'll stop sharing. Christian will ask you to take over and see if anyone's got any questions for us today.
Absolutely, thank you. If you would like to find out any more about the tools Ed showed, either get in touch with your account manager or do request a demo. We'd love to show you around that or show you how to maximize the tools that you have already. If you don't have an account manager, do email contact@spotler.co.uk. And yeah, if you do have any questions, do reach out to us. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time today. Stuck to that 15 minutes and everything. Good job, Ed. That was nicely done. And we'll look forward to seeing you all on the next one. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye-bye.